Welcome back to another episode for the Lost in Possession podcast. Three mates, three different teams, and three very different opinions. Now we've got the final games of the season where we have everything still to play for. The title, top four still after midweek games has changed hands, but it's still ongoing for the final game. And we've also got the relegation battles. Now, there are some mid-game weeks on Thursday. However, we'll kind of touch on them when we discuss sort of the games that are relevant to them. Now, I think we should start off with maybe not seen as the biggest game, but one that is still quite important for what European competition teams are in. So I was going to start off with Palace and United. Now, we've been quite sort of favourable on Vieira this season, and I will be negative on United as a City fan. But Jordan, how do you see that game going?
I was about to say it's a recipe for an upset, but at this point in kind of where Man United are and where Palace are, I'm not actually sure who's favourite or what an upset is at this point. For me, I said it a couple of weeks ago. I think Palace could win it. I really do at home. I think Palace, looking at the table, I think United could be in trouble. It would be such a ridiculous start to Ten Hag's reign to be put down a peg into the Conference League or even the Conference League qualification. But I can see Palace with their fans getting behind them actually beating United here, sort of 2-1, something like that. So yeah, interesting game. I'm going Palace.
Reece, what about you?
Is it at Old Trafford or Selhurst Park?
It's at Selhurst Park.
Right. I mean, it is still a dead rubber game. I think it'll be a draw. Maybe.
So it's more if United draw or lose, they could go into the new conference, European Conference League, with West Ham possibly overtaking them. So that's the only reason why it's not a complete dead rubber.
Yeah, I know, but I think they'll have enough just to get themselves over the line.
Just on that as well. Sorry, Reece. Just to cut you off. Palace can, with a win, finish in the top half. I don't know how kind of money for the league works, but that could just be a player incentive to say, look, if we win, we could finish in the top half, which I think for Palace would be a big step in the right direction.
Yeah, most definitely it would be, and would be quite a good way to end the season for Vieira when he's had to start with pretty much the oldest team in the league and rebuild people out of contract and rebuild. So it's a good sort of start to his career in the Premier League for managing anyway. I will agree with Reece with the draw. I think it'll be a 1-1 draw, which does open the gate for West Ham. So we might as well move on and see what we actually predict for that. It's Brighton versus West Ham. Now, I watched West Ham on the weekend. Very good side, obviously, but Reece, what do you make of that game with Brighton and West Ham?
Brighton have turned it around right at the end of the season when they didn't actually have to. So I think West Ham will want to go out on a high. However, I think that they did that by getting a decent draw against Man City on Sunday. They got their final home game out of the way. So I think Brighton will win this, and I think they'll want to make sure that Palace, of all teams, don't finish above them.
Jordan?
I disagree. Admittedly, Brighton, unbeaten in the last four. As you said, Reece, they've turned it on recently. But for me, the incentive now for West Ham, the fact they've had a taste of Europa, I think for them, Moyes will really be sitting there going, look, I think we're worthy of Europa. I think we belong in Europa. And by winning the game, they put themselves in the best possible position for another crack at it. I think it'll be a tight game. I think both teams will score, but I'm going to go with West Ham 2-1 West Ham.
I never actually gave a score prediction. As much as I'd love to see Noble score the winner,
Yeah,
Um,
he's fine game.
I can see Brighton maybe winning it 1-0.
Interesting. I'm actually going to give United they're going to play in Europa. I think it's going to be a draw. I do agree with Jordan with it being both teams to score. I think Brighton have obviously started actually scoring for something that they don't normally do. West Ham have obviously got a rare talent that I saw were 2-0 up against us, which I wasn't best pleased, let's say, at half time. But I see it being a 2-2. I think it'd be a very entertaining game for them, and I'd like Mark Noble to go and score any goal in that game on his final one before he retires.
Final pen it'll be, won't it? To put him into the Europa League, 90th minute pen from Noble.
You're going to win it. Now, let's move on to probably a dead rubber, but Jordan, you're Chelsea at home to already relegated Watford. Now, is it the first or second home game for the new owner?
Yeah, it will be the third because we've got Leicester on Thursday this week.
Okay.
That'll be the second, and then Watford will be the third. It looks like the new owner is all done, which is good. Obviously, we can discuss it in a later episode, but the Todd Boehly era seems to be creeping in. Thanks to Newcastle and sort of Spurs in a way, both games have lost a bit of meaning for us. We just need a point between the two games to secure third, which, we made it a bit of a sweat, but ultimately, looks like we're going to get the job done. For me, for the Watford game, I think bearing in mind we're losing, 3-4 players, they're all sailing off into the Spanish sunset. I think we'll put on a real showing. Roy Hodgson, Watford, they're already relegated. They look dead and buried, and I think we'll turn it on. So I'm going to go with a 5-0 Chelsea, and hopefully it'll be a nice into the season, and we can wave Rudiger, Christensen, Aspi, and maybe even Alonso into the sunset as well.
Reece, what do you make of that game?
Yeah, I think Chelsea will win it comfortably. That's straightforward. Watford might want to put a little bit of hope in. They might even steal it, but I think Chelsea probably 4-0.
Okay. So obviously Watford's are going to be under a new manager, and Forest Green weren't too happy in the midweek, making a statement saying it's a bit I think it's all behind their backs kind of thing. So I
can't blame him for leaving.
You can't blame him, but I guess it's probably the manner he's done it. Because I think Forest Green wouldn't have stopped him going to Watford because it's such a big step up. But I do feel like Watford are going to get a hammer in here. They're probably just thinking, right, we're done with this season. It's not the same manager. It doesn't matter. And I think a few of the Chelsea players do have something to prove, because overall, it's probably not been the season you wanted or expected. Now, there's various factors into that, but I was going to go with probably a 3-0 win. Maybe I think Lukaku would probably get a couple because he likes scoring against, lower league teams. He's just a bully.
Any goals? We'll take any goals at the minute.
Get his goals per million up,
Yeah, get his confidence back. Maybe some of them will either want to sort of show off a bit for the new owner. But yeah, after the FA Cup, kind of painful defeat on pens, I think we all need a boost. Yeah, well, we'll talk about that on the end of season review in a bit more detail. But savage way to end the season for us, but it is what it is. Losing, look, all I'll say, we're 2 coin flips away from winning 4 trophies this year. When you put it like that, you can flip it in a positive as well. The team that are one of the best in the world, on for the quadruple. Media loves them. Couldn't beat us in 420 minutes. That's all I've got to say on the matter.
Well, moving on from Jordan's team to Reese's team now. At the Emirates, it's Arsenal versus Everton, and Everton could still need something depending on the midweek fixtures. We'll come to you, Reese, first. What are you going to make of this game? Are they going to turn their form around and just win the last game? Or
I think Everton will beat Palace in the week to secure their top flight hopes, which I think will make it easier on Arsenal. So Arsenal, I think, would look to go out on a high in that case. However, if they're going up against a team that has it all to play for, it's going to be tough, and I think they'll struggle there. But I'm confident Everton will beat Palace, so I think Arsenal will win the last game of the season against Everton, 2-1 potentially. Of course, I can dig deeper into Arsenal's sort of season, maybe for another day, maybe later in this episode. Who knows? But yeah, I think Arsenal will beat Everton, but that's because they'll have their survival secured by then.
what if they don't know? Are you still going to be confident of winning, or do you think it's going to be a different result if that's the case?
I think it'll be a different result. I think Everton will go all out on this one if that's the case, because they'll smell blood. It's hard. I mean, potentially a draw, maybe a 1-1 draw. But yeah, I think Everton are going to be just fine.
Jordan, you're a big fan of Lampard.
I am.
So
I hope he goes and spanks Arsenal on the final day, ruin the rest of their season. But no, I think, as Reece said, I think it's hard to give a prediction for this one because it completely and utterly depends on Thursday's results. Obviously, Everton at home to Palace. So I believe a win there for Everton would secure their safety for sure. Obviously, if that's the case, I think Arsenal will turn them over, obviously needing a win. So I'll assume that's the case and go for 3-1 Arsenal, where they need to win. Everton are already secured and they're kind of chilling. But it's all on Thursday's game. And I think Burnley have got Villa. So again, depending on that result, it could be kind of different incentives. But yeah, we'll go with 3-1 Arsenal.
I'm going to put the same sort of question to you. What if Everton do need points for the last game? Are you going to go with the same sort of result, or are you going to change your mind a bit?
I think if Everton need a result, I think it will be a draw, a 1-1 draw. I think Everton will get a little bit scrappy, wind up Arsenal. And we spoke last week, last episode, about them, Arsenal being an all momentum team. The pressure's clearly got to them. So I think a scrappy Everton needing a point could actually rattle Arsenal if need be.
No, that's fair enough. I think, like you've both sort of said, I think it will be an Arsenal win. If Everton don't need any more points, I think they'll be like, thank God that's over. Let's just get it done. And Arsenal's home form is pretty good, to be honest. I think they're a much better home team than away team. So I do feel that plays the part. And to be honest, Everton's away form is pretty awful as well. So it does play into... And Arsenal still technically need a win in just the hope of them still getting top four.
Great things have happened.
But if Everton needs a result at Arsenal, I still see it going the same way. I will probably put 2-1 Arsenal, no matter what the result is or where they are for it. I just think Arsenal's home they're just a better team at home, and they will get over the line both ways. Moving on to probably the other side of London, who are in much happier spirits after the last week or so. Spurs will go away to Norwich. Obviously, bottom of the league, Norwich, they're done. They do these yo-yoing up and down the leagues. Jordan, what do you make of that game?
Because Spurs are away, because obviously Norwich the home side, maybe there's a small chance that something could happen. You know, Norwich nick an early goal, maybe a dodgy red or something. But for all intents and purposes, it's hard to see anything other than a Spurs battering. I know Spurs are Spurs, and there's always a bottle in them somewhere. But this would be a bottle of epic proportions if they were to, you know, somehow mess this up. I'm going to go with the 3-1 Spurs. I think it will be fairly comfortable, but I would absolutely love to see an early Norwich goal, and maybe then Arsenal take the lead, and there's a chance. But 3-1 Spurs. I can't see it happening.
You want that drama on the final day.
Yeah, you do, but I don't see it happening, sadly.
Now, quickly, just to do with that and your score prediction, obviously Son is going for the Golden Boot. Salah possibly might be injured for the last game, or might not be risked due to their Champions League final. Will Son beat Salah to the Golden Boot? He needs 2 goals to beat it, 1 to draw it. What do you reckon?
I'd say, yeah. I think he's more than capable out of those 3 goals that I'm predicting to score 2. I think if is Kane anywhere near? Remotely near? No. Okay. So I was going to say I could see a scenario where Spurs get a pen and Kane gives it to Son for the Golden Boot. I think Son portrays this kind of nice guy, team player image, and I can see that happening if they're already maybe 1 or 2-0 up. So I think maybe that will be the case. He'll score 2 out of the 3, and he will win the Golden Boot if Salah doesn't play.
Reece, what do you make of this game? Are you going to try and predict just some for Arsenal, or are you just?
No, Arsenal can't be relying on other teams to do jobs for him. I think Norwich will know that there's no pressure on them, and I think they might enjoy that. But this is Antonio Conte we'll talk about here. I think this could be a ruthless performance. Not a 4-0, 5-0 maybe, but a comfortable, like Jordan said, maybe a comfortable 3-1, 3-0.
Norwich to throw a stat your way, Norwich are officially unbeaten in 1 game. So they're in form.
Oh, blimey.
God.
I mean, besides that, you know, they're just about to do their annual trade with Fulham. You go down and they. But I think Son could get the Golden Boot. I think he's going to probably try too hard to get it. I can imagine him taking chance after chance after chance. Whereas if he puts the team first, they'll win comfortably. But I can see him. You know what? Why not? I think he can get it.
So I don't see any hope for sort of Arsenal getting the top 4. I think Spurs are going to annihilate Norwich. There might be some nerves, but I think Spurs will get an early goal, and then the floodgates are open. And I'm going with a 4-0 Spurs, but I'm going with a hat-trick of Kane. So he's got, and Son to get the other. So it's going to be a draw. I think they're both going to share it, Salah and Son. I agree with sort of what you say about the penalties, but Spurs have had 2 penalties in the last games, and Kane's not giving them up. Son has said he doesn't care. It doesn't matter. Then you saw his frustrations when he came off against Arsenal, who had 10 men at the time. He clearly does care. Every footballer should care. I'd like to see him win it because, to be honest, he's a fantastic player and deserves, you know, a trophy of some sort, where he's not going to get it at Spurs at the moment. It's just a slight dig at Spurs there, but I'm sure you two don't mind either. I think we'll go on to another complete dead rubber game in this of Leicester versus Southampton. Reece, let's start off with you. What do you make of this game?
It's literally who do you think is the worst team out of Leicester or Southampton? These two are very, very lucky that the rest of the teams below them are so poor. I mean, shocking teams. Southampton have done exactly as I expected. Win 4 games, lose 4 games. And Leicester have done exactly as expected. Live too much on their cup glory and not properly recruit, in my opinion. I think Leicester will win this one. I think they probably need it a little bit more. I think Southampton are. I don't know. They're just a funny team at the moment. It's like they've not just been on the beach. They've gone on a round the world cruise. They're in no rush. So I think Leicester will beat them comfortably. Not a 9-0, but maybe a 3-1.
Funny you should mention 9-0. Because I'm about to make them the most outrageous score prediction of the year. Southampton have been absolutely woeful. I can't remember when the run started, but they're in relegation form. They have been for probably 2 months. I think their only significant win I can remember was the one to Arsenal, funny enough. Obviously, we beat them 6-0. Liverpool's under 13 girls absolutely battered them yesterday. And for me, Leicester improved a lot away to Watford, a big 5-1 victory. So I think an easy home win for Leicester, and I'm going to go with 9-0 Leicester as my prediction.
On with the 9-0. Does he get sacked if he loses 9-0 on the final day?
I'd say potentially. They've got to look at it because their form, they're 4 points off Everton, and Everton have a game in hand, right? So let's assume Everton go and beat Palace at home. They're 1 point off Everton, and the whole media, the world, everyone spent the entire season slating Everton, how awful they are. So I think if they get beat heavily, there's got to be a conversation. There has to be. Because they're a lot better.
3 strikes, you're out.
There'll be a discussion. I mean, I think don't get me wrong, Everton are a better side on paper than Southampton. I think if Southampton don't keep selling their best players, he's going to have something to work with for once. Somewhere you've got to draw the line with him. Like, they turn a corner and then they go all the way back down. It's not like it's win, couple of draws, then a defeat. It's solid wins, solid loses, and they lose heavily.
They've not got a bad side. That's what's more ridiculous. They've honestly got a good squad, in my opinion.
I mean, we'll discuss it, in sort of an end of season review on where we think about certain clubs. But if they get beat heavily, the Southampton fans are unhappy as it is. They're going to have to seriously consider their position. But I don't know, who do they bring in? But again, that's another debate for another day.
Yeah, so I think you were a bit harsh on Leicester, to be honest, Reece. Like, you got to think of it. Teams have these small periods of being up. They were challenging for top 4 for 3 seasons. They won the FA Cup, which they'd not done before. It's sort of, they've been on top form, and there's always going to be a drop off. Obviously, like, they're not going to spend the funds that sort of our 3 clubs can to sort of maintain a certain level. Like, there was always going to be that drop off, and I thought it was either going to be last year or this year, kind of thing. And I think they did well last year, winning the FA Cup. That's sort of good enough in terms of what it is. They probably would have been a bit disappointed not to get through to probably the final for the European Conference League, but at the end of the day, sort of not too bad, really, coming semi-final. In terms of Southampton, I was just sort of so annoyed at them. Like, the game against Liverpool, you see that Liverpool side, the way they played against us, home, away, and in the FA Cup, you think, okay, this Southampton side can get a draw, can beat them. And they've obviously got the early goal, and then they went, we're done, it's over, we're going to win, or we just sort of give up now. And Liverpool deserved that win. The players that they put out deserved it. That's probably, funny enough, it's sort of, in terms of actual football, I thought it was one of their better performances in recent weeks. And you look at that side, they played it around perfectly and did enough. I think Southampton decided to attack them again in the 88th minute. Like, what are you doing? No wonder they got booed. Like, they deserve to be booed in that kind of thing. But I was going to go with quite a high-scoring game as well, actually. And I was going to go with a 4-1 Leicester.
We're all in agreement. And sorry, one quickly point on Leicester. Reece, I know you've been slightly more critical than we have on Leicester's season. Looking at the table, I don't actually think that it quite stacks up, because at the minute they're in ninth position. And obviously we've sat here, a number of weeks, and we've praised Wolves for their performance, their defensive side. But Leicester are only 3 points behind Wolves and have a game in hand. We've praised Graham Potter. They're on level points with Brighton, with a game in hand. So I think all in all, it's been a tough year for Leicester, but I don't think they've done too badly. And I think Brendan Rodgers is definitely safe, in my opinion.
Yeah, he's definitely safe, but I would argue that they're probably lucky that the teams around them have been so inconsistent. If those teams would have got themselves together, they'd have been further down. But who would have thought that the dead rubber game would be the one that would spark the most discussion?
Just with that, the two teams you mentioned around them, though, both have attacking problems. So that's the only sort of point. They're defensively better than Leicester, but they can't. They struggle for goals. But yeah, so let's move on from a dead rubber game to something that has a bit of meaning. Brentford Leeds. Now, I see this being a brilliant game. Leeds obviously getting a dramatic point in the 92nd minute against Brighton. Now, obviously, the games in midweek matter whether they're in the bottom three or not coming to the final game. How do you see this going, Jordan?
So, it's must win for Leeds, isn't it? However you see it playing out, whatever, just looking at the table now, whatever result happens with Everton and Villa, it's must win for Leeds. Brentford, just having a quick look at them, again, could, if all the results go their way, could finish in the top half. And they've actually done very well recently. They were one of those teams who, once they survived relegation, you could have just made a case for them sitting back, going on the beach, as it were. But they've actually really done pretty well. But I think it's going to be tight. I think both teams, again, will score. I know I've pretty much said that in every game, but I think Leeds will nick it 2-1. And I think there could be some late drama there, or a little late comeback from Leeds or something like that. I think, 2-1 Leeds, and it will be decided late, in my opinion.
Reece?
Yeah, I mean, full credit to Brentford. They could have just easily gone on the beach, but they've been professional and they've been really, really good. And that's the attitude you need to have in order to survive consistently in the league. Leeds are going to have that big, big following of supporters with them. It could get them over the line. I think if they don't motivate you, you shouldn't be playing football, to be honest. I think Leeds will do it. I think Leeds could just nick it. I mean, they've been poor, but I think this might be something where it might just trigger them into life, all or nothing for them. Maybe 1-0 Leeds.
Leeds with a clean sheet. I don't know if they've actually had a clean sheet this season, or I can't remember when they have.
I don't think they've had many away wins either, to be fair. We're giving them too much credit, maybe.
Maybe 2-1 Leeds then. But
I think. Do you think they'll stay up then? Yes. Yep. Yeah. With that win, they'll stay up.
I've not even thought of that.
No,
sorry. No. I didn't factor in what my predictions actually mean, because if I'm saying Leeds are going to win, then I'm basically saying Burnley are going down.
Yeah.
Now I'm saying that out loud. I don't know.
Well, unless they win their final two games, it doesn't matter what Leeds do.
Yeah. All right, sorry. I'll steal my 2-1.
Yeah. I'm going to go with a draw here. I think both teams are going to, once again, it's going to be a brilliant game. I think it's going to be goals, I've gone with a 2-2 draw, I think, here. I think Leeds defensively, they've got so many people out or suspended. It's just, they can't keep a clean sheet, in my opinion. Like Brentford's ground is quite small, compact, and I think that will help with sort of like you say, with Leeds support. They will try and get in. They'll get into Brentford's end at somewhere, some way, and they'll create more of an atmosphere, I think. And I think a 2-2 draw, but whether that keeps them safe will depend on my next prediction.
It's their goal difference that could cost them. I mean, it's horrific.
Yeah.
And that's when they should have made the change a long, long time ago.
Yeah, especially when you've got the games like the 7-0 to City. It's been counting as sort of 4 or 5 games. To move on to the other game in the relegation battle, Burnley versus Newcastle. Now, I've had 1 or 2 viewers have made a comment to me and Jordan talking about Newcastle being on the beach against Arsenal. Jordan, what do you make of Burnley versus Newcastle now?
Yeah, there's no beach for Newcastle. Fair play to them. They turned it on against Arsenal, put in a really good shift. And yeah, I take it back. I think they're going to put in another shift here, just almost to prove a point. I think they're thinking a season ahead, like, you know, we need to win these games if we want to compete next year. But Burnley again are going to have everything on the line. So for me, I think it'll be a draw. I think it'll be a 1-1 draw.
Reece?
Will Eddie Howe want to do his former club a favour? No, because it didn't exactly go well at Burnley. So I think I can see a draw here. I think Newcastle can still get into the top 10, which even though they don't need the money, it looks better for them because it sets the standards, and I think they'll go for it. But I can see this being a 1-1 draw. I think Burnley are going to be the team to go down.
Yeah, like we've said, sort of they weren't on the beach against Arsenal, and if you look at their form, it's been matching City and Liverpool. I think I saw a stat since January or something like that. It went sort of Liverpool. It might have even been Newcastle second in form.
Yeah, it was. It's crazy.
Which is ridiculous. So maybe they are playing for their places for next year when there could be serious amount of signings coming through the door. I've actually gone with a Newcastle win against Burnley. I think Burnley need to beat Villa in order to stay up, but I possibly don't even see that. So I've gone with a 2-1 Newcastle win, and I think Burnley will go down. Now, speaking of the other end of the table, it's the title race. City and Liverpool, both at home against Villa and Wolves, respectively. Now, I'm going to start with the Liverpool game because obviously you got the extra annotations with the City games. I think if we go with the Liverpool Wolves game, what are your results? Reece, when you start us off.
Question. I think Wolves are definitely on the beach. I think they'll look to frustrate Liverpool, but I think Liverpool are going to go all out there and try and reduce that goal difference by as much as they can. I think Liverpool could win this comfortably. I reckon actually it might be a 3-1 Liverpool win because they're still a bit ropey.
Just to add, the goal difference really won't matter unless they draw. Well, yeah, the goal difference really doesn't matter.
They have to draw 5-5.
I think it has to be that
6-0.
Yeah, City have to lose 6-0 and they have to draw, kind of thing. So it's goal difference wouldn't really matter, but fair enough.
3-1 Liverpool.
Jordan?
Yeah, I totally agree. Wolves have shown a lot in the last couple of weeks in terms of how good they are on the counter. Did it against us, did it against City. I'm very confident Wolves will get a goal. I don't know when it will be. I'm going to also agree. I think 3-1 Liverpool, they'll have enough to get it done, but Wolves will definitely nick a goal at some point in it.
Funnily enough, I wrote down the exact same score but I'm going to be slightly different just to put it out there. I'll go with a 2-0 Liverpool, and it'll be quite comfortable for them. Obviously, the game against us where it was 5-1, I think flattered us slightly. Like, Wolves did cause us problems. Now, obviously, we have a few defenders out, but they did cause problems. So I wouldn't say they're fully like we're done with the season, but they're still fighting on all fronts here. So yeah, I'll go with a 2-0 Liverpool. I think they'll comfortably win on the final day. Now comes to the last one, and obviously this will mean who you think's going to win the title. It's City versus Gerrard and Coutinho at Villa. It's also Mike Dean's last refereeing game. He obviously likes to be a centre of attention. Yeah. So there could be cards galore because it doesn't really matter to him anymore. Jordan, what do you make of the game?
Oh, what a game. The prospect of Gerrard somehow winning Liverpool the title would just be absolutely unspeakable. It gives it an extra little bit of spice. I'm going to go 3-2 City. Throwing it back to the QPR title win, I think there's going to be a bit of drama, and I hope there is for everyone's sake. I'd love to see Villa get the first goal and just see the City fans absolutely rattled. So yeah, 3-2 City for me, but ultimately City to win the league.
Reece?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a professional performance from everybody. Mike Dean will do his job. Steven Gerrard, even though he'd like Liverpool to win the league, will go out there only wanting 3 points for Villa. And City, of course, will want to go and do the job as well. I think it could be a close score. I think City 3-1. 3-1, but I think, again, sometimes you don't know what City team are going to turn up. It's either going to be one that's going to grind out that result, or they're going to absolutely roll Villa over. But I think 3-1 City.
Yeah, I annoyingly do see Villa scoring, which is the problem. I think that comes down to the lack of defenders we have at the moment. I don't know if Ake's fit, and I'm not convinced that Laporte and Fernandinho are actually fully fit after the Wolves game. I know they played against West Ham, but I still don't think they were fully right. So that can be a problem. I think it would be nervy, but it's not situations we haven't been in before for the league. We've obviously did the QPR one. We did it against West Ham before on the final day. I think it's something we're accustomed to, and I think we're going to get the four in 5 years, which I think is absolutely ridiculous. The only person who obviously can sort of have better records is United with Ferguson. Obviously, give it a few years, maybe we'll even be topping that. But I think that's a bit getting too far ahead of myself. The game, I'm going to put it out there. Gerrard didn't win the league for Liverpool. He slipped up for him. Why is he going to do it as a manager? Coutinho, what he was a great player. Don't get me wrong, but why is he going to do it now for Villa when he couldn't bring it home for Liverpool? It's all just, I think it's the media wanting it. It obviously adds to the sort of build up of the game, but I'm going with, we're going to win. I think we're going to win 3-1. I think it's going to be like 2-1 late on, and Villa are going to try and go for it, and then we're going to just hit them on the break and put the game to bed, and then I'll get a nice celebration, seeing us lift the trophy again.
There you have it. Sorry, we missed the game.
No, all the game's done.
So on that note, based on our predictions, it's going to be a very, very exciting Sunday of football. A lot of goals, a couple of 9-0s in there, some late drama, maybe a Gerrard slide tackle on the side. Hopefully it's going to be another cracking weekend, cracking finale. Let us know your thoughts. There's a lot of games to digest. But as always, like, comment and subscribe. You know the drill.
Here we go.